guys, Rick Shaw here, 9th of July. I just got back from taking the Yamaha YTX 125 in for its first service, where we bought it at the Yamaha dealer. There was supposed to be a valve check. There's supposed to be all these things that they do. Basically, what I got was an oil change. It was a paid-for service. I just had to pay for the quart of oil and the filter. I bought an extra filter and an air filter to bring home. I got the oil filter was only 75 peso, and it was like 250 peso for the air cleaner. And it's an oiled air cleaner. Now I can clean the other one out, but this way I'll have, when I take it out, I can slip it all right back in, button the thing back up, and then I'm worried about cleaning the filter later. So, and it's a nice pleated filter, almost looks like a K&N filter, and it was nice and oily. So that'll keep her good and clean. But they didn't do a lot of checks. One of the, they have a list of all the checks they're supposed to be doing right in my warranty book, and one of the things was idle. Well, when I pulled in there, the bike had been warmed up good, but I went ahead and put it on half choke, so it would just kick the idle up, just to see if the guy was paying attention, and he didn't. When I left, it was still on half choke, so he never adjusted the idle. There was no valve check at all that I watched. I was sitting right on the other side of the glass in a chair. It's kind of like a little cafe bar there, and he wasn't doing that. He was talking to some other guy in there a little bit. My one beef, though, about the bike is its stability at slow speeds. It's not very stable. Now, it is set up for a tricycle, so that's part of it. But there was a Honda, the exact same one like I had for my tricycle last time, and I rode that around for well over a month to break it in. They wanted 1,000 kilometers on it before they put the tricycle on it, and that bike was stable as could be, just so much better at slow speeds, and just the rake on it. When I was standing there getting the bike out, the dude who works there, the mechanic, he has the Honda, and it was sitting in the bay right next to mine, and when I was lining them up and looking down at them, you could see that the rake was pushed in a lot on the Yamaha compared. So that's probably why there's not as much rake on it. So that makes it a little bit squirrely. But once you're moving, it's fine. With my wife on it, definitely it's the slow speed stuff. I'm dabbing my feet, and on a lot of bikes I had, I could get them down to almost a dead stop and never have to put my feet down. As long as I just work the clutch and on the gas. But the other thing, this one I want to do to it is change the gearing on it a little bit, get it a little bit lower for that first gear, because when you're in this slow moving traffic, you're having to just slip the clutch too much, because it's geared a little tall, I think. I don't know if I might do just the front sprocket. It's got a 14 on the front. I might just pop a 13. I never like to go less than the 13 on the front sprockets, because it's too tough on the chains. They just can't take that. But 13, I can get by with a 13, and that'll definitely help it out. That's one cog up front is about the same as two in the back. And it'll definitely be a little cheaper, and I can keep this chain and at least use it up. The chains they put on these bikes, it's just like on the Honda. They put the absolute crap chains on them. If you get a year out of them, you're doing well. And I maintain them good. I keep them clean, oil them. I got a really nice chain brush I got from Lazada, just like I had in the States. And I usually I'll turn the motor on and put it in gear up on the center stand. That's why I love bikes with the center stand. And then just let it run in first gear. And while I'm holding that scrubber, it's got a thing like this, so it goes right around the chain. Real stiff brush, and I'll go ahead and scrub it while I'm spraying 40WD and clean it off really good. And then I got a real good, like a 3-in-1 household oil that I put on it. I drip that on there. It'd be nice to get a Scott oiler here. Most all my bikes I had Scott oilers on them, and I could get years and years out of a chain. Just never had a problem. The ones I didn't have a Scott oiler, I used to, before I put them away at night, like when I get home from work, if I wasn't going to ride again, I used to buy the spray chain stuff. They had a stuff I was using. I can't remember the brand name of it, but it wasn't too greasy. It wouldn't fling off so bad. It was more like a chain wax in a spray bottle. Shook it up, and that kept chains where I had them for years. I had the on the CRX 650L that I had that chain on there for about 2 years, and I put 20,000 on it the first 2 years I had it, and no problem at all with that chain. And then what I was doing with it was changing, I wanted to change the gearing. I went up 4 on the back sprocket on that one. So I had to get a different chain, and I bought a real good X-ring chain then. Can't remember the brand name of that, but that was on it when I got rid of the bike. And that was a fantastic machine. The suspension on it was just like having a big Lincoln. And you know, I'm thinking here. I'm looking at the WR 155R. I'd like to have the bike for just cruising around for myself. Something that's going to give me a little bit better ride. But it seemed pretty stiff, so I don't know. I hope they have a ride day for it. They had a ride day for the YXT 125. That's the dirt bike 125 Yamaha sells, and I blew right through that suspension. You know, I blew through that. The sag on that, I was down past 50% just sitting on it. So, you know, that would have to have springs on it right away. Front also. Now my CRF 650L, when I got that, the day I was buying it, they had a dude there he was a suspension dude. And I said, hey, let's set me up. Let's get this thing set up really good. And my sag I was too low on the sag on that. And he said, well, we got to get you a spring. I think he said it was a number 10 spring, and you need a 15 for your weight. At that time, I was around 280, 290. And I sit back. Also, it's not only that I'm that weight. I sit back farther because my legs are so long. Guys, not too noisy, please. And so he set me up. It was a numbered spring. It was a 15. And that fixed it. Then the front one, I was kind of right on the borderline of that being a little bit too soft. So they had a really nice performance center in this motorcycle shop I was at. So I got the progressive springs. That kept me on the real nice ride, but when you hit the brakes hard, it had really good braking. Now that bike too, I got it and drove it around and was just going kind of easy on the brakes. And when I took it in for its first service, I had them swap out to some performance brake pads on that one because those pads weren't so good. And I kept it all stock until the chain wore out, and then I went ahead with better chain, and that really made that bike nice. This bike's going to get before I get I'm thinking of not getting a tricycle. I'm thinking of getting one of those little ones where the bike sits inside of it. They use them like little mini jeepneys down in Davao. I had priced one at $70,000, brand new one. And my buddy Mike down there in Siriago, he said he's seen them for around $55,000. And that would be a nice thing for me, because here in Lipa, there are so many streets where you can't drive the tricycle on. And if you make a mistake and get onto one of these streets, there's traffic cops everywhere. They're gonna pull you over and give you a ticket, take your license. So, and the signs you can't hardly see them. The tricycle drivers all know them, you know, because they do this for a living. But you know, the way the signs are here, if you're not really paying attention and looking for them, you're not going to see them, because they're not like in a spot like, you know, up here before you get to the street. It might be down on the bottom of a post somewhere, or maybe even on the other side. You just don't know here, and you can get tripped up really quick. So I think if I had one of those, that's not considered a tricycle. So I think that would be a little bit better. And that way also we'd have hauling capabilities in case if I want to use it. I don't really want to use the car around here a lot. It's a hassle to drive. You know, that's going to be for highway and trips and going to resorts and stuff. And then the trike is what I want to have. Not really a trike, but this bike is what I want to have to do all our local stuff. And I do want to get a bigger bike down the road. I do like that WR 155R, but I also like the Honda. They have a CRF 150L, That's nice. I'd love to have a ride day on one of them. And then now they got the CRF 300L that I'd love to have a ride day on them to see how much I'd have to spend for one. But I'd be happy with the CRF 150L. I don't need the power. These things are quick enough to get you moving. I don't really have to go on the highway. I just need something where if I want to run up to the store just by myself or something, I got a nice machine to smooth out the speed bumps and the rough roads. My wife and I, when we were on it, we hit a pothole. We were coming along in the rain. I saw it, but in order to hit the brakes, it had just started raining. It gets real slippery here because the jeepney's dripping oil, and so I'm going to hit it. I'm going to go ahead and hit this pothole. And that suspension in the back is stiff. It banged us pretty good. The front ate it okay, but the back really took a hit. So it's made for having a lot of weight on it in order to get it good. Now, they tell you to take the back two off. I might just do that, see if it makes it a little more compliant. That could be something why it's unstable. So I'm going to do that when I'm done with the video. I'm going to take the back two off and take it for a ride. And I'll be taking my sweetie up. She's got to run back into town today, so I'll take her up to the guard shack and we'll see how it is. Hopefully that's going to mend it. But myself right now, I got spoiled from the last year. Sweetie, in Binion, what was the name of that motor where I got the Honda? The name of the Motor Trade. We got it at Motor Trade. Well, this one here is also, it says Yamaha on the front, but it's Motor Trade. And I got spoiled at the one in Binion because when I took it in there, they did everything. They greased your cables. Now, that bike didn't have an oil filter. That just had like a screen in it that the oil had to get picked up through a screen, and the rest of the stuff dropped in and came out with the dirty oil. No problems or anything like that. I like the idea. I got a filter, and it's a filter with a spring on it, so if it gets plugged, it'll push it out of the way so you don't lose your oil pressure or anything. So that's pretty cool. Lots of pleats in the filter and cheap. But I did get spoiled with them because you take your bike in there. It was close to a place where we could do shopping or whatever we wanted. We would come back. They'd text us when it was done. The bike was clean, like brand new. They lubed all your cables. They took the wheels off, cleaned the stuff out of the brakes. They really did a good job for the money, and I always tipped them well. And this place, I got an oil change. Now, it was cheap. It cost me 296 pesos. But basically all it was an oil change. That was it. They never checked the valves. I like this bike because it's got the little nuts in it. It doesn't have shims. I hate those shims. This one's just got the little nuts. So I'll be checking that probably this weekend. I gotta dig out and find I have the tool for that. I have the wrenches just for getting in there and doing those adjustments on the valves. But I'm not hearing them. The power's good. I think they're going to be just fine. I'll probably just have to stick a feeler gauge in there and not even have to make an adjustment. I'll bet you they're just fine, because when the valves go out, you hear them and you know something's wrong. And I don't hear any ticking in that motor. It's a brand new Yamaha. It's running fine. They're a musical company. Their logo is tuning forks, and the bike's pretty good. But I would have liked to see them clean the carb, like they do at the other Motor Trade I went to. That was one of the first things they did. They'd have a couple guys jump on that bike, pull the carb off right away, clean it, check the adjustments, put it back. And I mean, you're still only in there an hour or so. And for the money, I think their service cost me, it was around 700 some pesos, and I'd always give the guys 100 each. I'd get out of there for 20 bucks. And that's why I kept going back to them, because they did such a good job. Plus, they washed it. And this place, nothing. The guy wiped the wheel down a little bit. Didn't oil the chain, didn't adjust the chain. I didn't even see him checking the slack. I was watching the whole time. And I know somebody might say, well, why didn't you go tell him to do this or tell him? No, I'm going to let them earn my business. And if they're going to do that and have to be told what to do, maybe they don't know what they're doing. Maybe I didn't want them in there touching my valves. That's the way I think about it. So I'll just do it all myself. I got the first service done. That's the one that keeps the warranty going. I'll fill out the warranty book myself. It'll get synthetic next oil change. I'll do all the stuff that needs to be done. So that's what happened today.